Hello, everybody. This is Mike for Friends in High Places podcast. Today we have a special friend, and his name is Tarik.
Yeah, my name is Tarik. I'm from the West Island, but I moved to the Mile End 20 years ago, and that's where I've been living ever since my hospitalization.
So tell me about yourself. How old are you? What sign you are?
Well, first of all, I'm a Taurus. Secondly, I'm 39 years of age. I'm turning 40 on April 26th.
And Tarik, where did we meet?
Well, we met at the Douglas Hospital for the Mentally Insane.
And what is your mental health diagnosis?
Okay, well, I've first and foremost been diagnosed with ADHD, which I'm not medicated for, so I might be scatterbrained. Secondly, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And lastly, I was misdiagnosed with schizophrenia, and that's a complicated one because I was doing something called malingering. I don't know if you guys know what malingering is, but essentially it's when you use the system to benefit illegally from. And I was looking to get disability because I'm an artist and I just want to stay home and make art all day. So I faked my schizophrenia, and now it's been used against me.
And where are you now?
I'm currently in drug treatment.
And that's where we both are right now. And what is your drug of choice, Tarik?
Well, if I had to make a choice, it's very hard to decide between all the wonderful drugs that exist out there, but I'd have to say crystal meth, and I love it so much that I started manufacturing it. And in fact, the first time I started a fire at an abandoned gas station on Iberville.
What other drugs do you like to do?
I like psychedelics. Those are good for the soul.
And?
I definitely like nootropics. I don't know if you've ever heard of modafinil, but it's essentially a narcolepsy medication, but when used white label or off label, essentially you get calm wakefulness for 16 hours. It reminds me of crystal meth, but it has a longer lasting effect.
Okay, so that's something that you can buy legally at the pharmacy?
No, you need to get it smuggled into Canada because it's a Schedule D substance.
And what do you like to do on all these drugs? Like, what is your prime hobby? What do you do as an artist?
Okay, so I make electronic dance music, but not mainstream electronic dance music. I make gothic industrial dance music, something in between The Cure and Nine Inch Nails.
And that's actually pretty sick, but do you think you have a drug problem?
If you're asking, I'm gonna say no, but I'm very stubborn and some people think I do have a drug problem.
And do you think your childhood influenced your incredible drug habit? Tell me about your childhood a little bit, if you don't mind.
I grew up in a good home. We moved a lot. My parents argued often. And my dad was an aerospace engineer, and my mom worked at a bank, and she got held up 26 times and developed PTSD and stopped working. So she was home all the time.
And did that influence you growing up as a child? You say you have a brother? How was that growing up with
I
him?
used to steal my mother's benzodiazepams when I was like 13.
That was your first drug that you tried?
Yeah, that was the first drug I tried. And to get back to my brother, I actually... on February 19th, 2024, he called the police on me because we got into an argument, and he told them that I stabbed his couch with a paring knife and that I threatened him at knife point over an argument gone sour. And he told the police that I was schizophrenic because I made the mistake of telling him that I was schizophrenic. I didn't tell him that I was malingering, and he used it against me to silence me. That's the kind of brother I have. He's betrayed me, he's thrown me under the bus, he's left me for dead, and I've been hospitalized for 2 years ever since.
So you were 2 years at the Douglas. Did you use drugs there?
Absolutely. I was considered a heavy drug user at the Douglas.
And is that why you hate your brother so much? Because he threw you under the bus and that's the reason why you got hospitalized? Or do you think you may have a mental disorder?
Well, I think I make other people suffer from my cluster B personality disorders, many of which are undiagnosed. I might be a sociopath, but I'm not sure. I'm not a clinician. I can't tell you for sure. I do have empathy and emotion. I used to be afraid to leave people, which is like the reverse of what borderline personality disorder consists of. The fear of abandonment. I had a reversed version of it, but I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I don't think I'm schizophrenic. I know for a fact that I wasn't properly diagnosed.
Have you been in psychosis, or do you think like some of the things that you were telling me about being followed by shadow people and hallucinating spirits, do you think that is schizophrenia, or do you think it was just the good drugs you were taking?
I think it was the good drugs I was taking, and not only that, but I used to practice chaos magic. It's a form of magic that disregards belief and utilizes it as a tool, as a means to an end, which could be gotten rid of once you've achieved your goal. Essentially, making anything go. So I would do a lot of meditation, and I'd get into trances, and a lot of the times they were drug induced. And yes, I have hallucinated, and that's normal, especially when you're taking LSD and practicing magic.
And do you think that was reason for you to be hospitalized, or do you think you were like troubled?
Well, I used my experiences to try to pull on the doctor's sleeve to tell them that I'm schizophrenic, because I was trying to get disability, and once again I was malingering, and now I'm suffering the consequences of my actions.
So it's been how many months that you've been at multiple hospitals and multiple stays? It's been more than 2 years.
I spent 19 days at the Douglas, my first malingering attempt, and prior to that 14 days at the Lakeshore Hospital, another malingering attempt. And then finally on February 19th, 2024, my brother pressed the false charges against me and had me sectioned under the Mental Health Act. And I spent a good portion of my time at the Douglas Hospital. They transferred me to the Lakeshore Hospital. I then sent an email to my mother telling her I wanted to beat up my brother. She then called the police and reported it, and sent in the emails to the police station as proof of me being a dangerous threat to my brother. They then came to the hospital. The police came to the hospital to arrest me. I got sent to prison. I got sent to RDP for 19 days, and then I got sent to Bordeaux for another 19 days. And then finally I got transferred for a psychiatric evaluation at Pinel Institute, which is a prison for the mentally insane, where I continued to malinger and got declared criminally non-responsible for my actions, which has led to me being put on the Tribunal Administratif du Québec, a horrible organization known for horrible actions against humanity. Anyhow,
what is the tribunal short for? What is it called?
It's called the TAC. We call it the TAC here.
And what do they do? So you're under the TAC right now, and do they have any restrictions on you?
Oh yeah, it's horrible, man. So basically, I get 2 piss tests a week. If I get tested positive for any drug on the panel 5 test, which are easy to cheat, by the way, I get hospitalized for an indeterminate amount of time. So essentially, if I don't stop using drugs, I'm going to be in a hospital for the rest of my life.
And does that make you believe in God, or like, do you think God is real, or?
So I used to believe in God until I got hospitalized.
And do you think it's unjust for you to stop believing in him because you got hospitalized? Because you said it was your own doing that got you hospitalized in the first place.
Well, it has part to do with it. It's a bit more complicated than that. My brother lying about me stabbing a couch with a paring knife and threatening him at knife point was the primary reason behind the hospitalization. And I do think it's unjust.
And do you think karma exists?
I've always said that karma is my attorney, but I'm starting to not believe in karma either. And I think that it's something that needs to be taken into your own hands.
So do you think you lost hope, or do you think life is worth living? Like, you're dealt a rough hand, and you play poker, so You tell me, do you think you're going to play this hand, or do you think you're going to fold and give up?
Well, you got me into poker, and if there's anything I learned is that poker is not a game of chance as much as people think it is, and it's a game of talent. And I'm looking to just focus on my talents and make something positive out of the negative. I'm being followed by atrocious doctors who refuse to medicate me for my ADHD, and I'm going to write diss songs about them, diss tracks, basically slander them and feed them to the lions in my music.
So you've been doing lyrics while you're in therapy. Do you think that's been helping you write down an outlet like for music, or do you think it's just you being sporadic and writing things that are so bluntly true? Do you think they will ever hear those lyrics that you're creating?
If I want somebody to hear something and listen to me, I'm sure as hell going to make sure that it happens. And to get back to what you were saying, I've been left to my own accord. Essentially, I've been stripped of any cell phone or device, like my tablet, which I make music on FL Studio Mobile. So I've been left to my own accord, and there's nothing else to do but read the same 4 books I've read 1,000 times at the Douglas, or get a little creative and take the pen to the pad and start writing out rhythmic ideas for rhymes, lyrics, and poetry.
Because I read some of your lyrics, they're pretty good, and you sang a couple of them for me, and I was actually quite impressed. Do you think you're going to continue putting actual effort into it and making your stay here in therapy a little bit more enjoyable, or do you think this is a curse that you're in here because let's face the music together and do drug therapy together, but do you think you have a sense of direction with all this?
It's a bit of both. I'm going to try to use my time as best as possible. I am thinking about...
Oh shit, you stopped recording it. Just kidding.
I'm thinking about contacting a lawyer, a criminal lawyer who's been charged with embezzlement. He took out $5 million from a company with his brother. His name is Johan Elbaz. You should check him out on Google. And my point being is I think I'm going to try to get him to get me out of the situation that I'm in. So I might not do the full 6 months that are required to complete the program. But while I'm here, I'm going to use my time wisely and continue to write lyrics. And once my dad gets back from Quebec City, I'm going to ask him if he could deliver me a Roland Alpha Juno keyboard that I purchased a couple years back. And I'll have something to write music to the lyrics with.
So do you think you're going to stay here for the full 6 months? Because I think under the TAC, if you finish it, it'll look really good on your dossier. But if you don't finish it, where are you going to end up?
I have a hideout. I'm not going to disclose it, but I've been invited to stay at somebody's place, and it's something that I'm deeply considering.
So you rather be on the run for the rest of your life, because as soon as the cops find you, or let's say you get infraction for jaywalking, the cops are going to hunt you down and they're going to throw you back to the prison of the mental health department.
Yeah, see, I can't think that far. I can't think that far ahead.
Well, you should think of it, because if you don't finish your therapy, you have consequences. And if you actually put some effort into therapy, you're going to get a lot of it back and see how you put your life in perspective. Because in all, do you think your life is a mess? Because you have a girlfriend, and I'm sure like she has the patience of a saint, enduring you all your hospitalization, and now you're in therapy. Do you think it's fair to her, it's fair to you to go off the deep end and want to escape? because once you finish therapy, you're going to be able to have a reinsertion program, and you're going to be able to reintegrate into society and be free to do whatever you want. So what is lesser of both evil? Is it therapy of 6 months and then a reinsertion program, or be in the hospital for an indefinite period of time just because of drug use? Do you like drugs that much?
I do. And I don't think it's fair that anybody could have any say over what somebody does with their body. I think it's a human right violation. And I think the World Health Organization is with me on that one. I've read through some of their literature, and they're completely against what's going on with me. I wish there was just some way to exemplify their message in court in Quebec, in Quebec out of all places. But there isn't. And Quebec seems to operate differently than most of the world. It's backwards. And I believe in freedom, and the freedom to choose and to do what one wants with their body and their life. I'm not a killer. I may be a criminal, but my crimes are impulsive, mostly shoplifting, and other than that, my ADHD has kicked in and I've trailed off. Feel free to ask me another question.
What is the most happiest memory you've had of your life?
Well, when I was 16, this is the second story I explained about being 16. I wanted to lock myself in an apartment with an organ and have red lights on and not leave the apartment until a complete work of music had been produced and completed. And a couple years ago, I succeeded in my goal. I only realized it halfway through, and the biggest rush of joy overcame me. I realized I was in an apartment that was lit with only red lights, and I was playing a bunch of vintage synthesizers at the same time by myself, locked into my apartment. I had turned my phone off, and I had completed a work of music, and that was a great accomplishment for me.
And you ride that high out. Don't you feel that high is better than any drug that you've ever tried?
Not necessarily. I do believe enhancements can come in many shapes and forms, whether it be working on your health through working out, or through the use of nootropic substances, or the use of psychedelic drugs, and the use of stimulants. Those are all okay with me.
And do you think your ADHD is going to be under control? Because you said you have atrocious doctors. Do you think that's going to be a problem in your future? What are the steps necessary for you to change doctors, and what is it that's missing from the tack that you desperately need?
I'm strongly considering, after my 21 days are over and I get my outings, I'm strongly considering going to a clinic and just getting them to re-prescribe me Vyvanse behind my doctor's back. And I want to see what she has to say about that. So I'm somebody who's defiant, and I don't listen to what these people have to say.
Do you think that'll cure you, or do you think you're just using it to get high?
No, I strongly have ADHD, and it's crippling, it's debilitating. It prevents me from paying attention in the workshops that we have. And I'm just looking for relief. I really am. I'm not looking to get high.
Anyways, Tarik, that was a very good interview. I really appreciate your time and your interview.
Thank you, Michael.
That was Tarik for Friends in High Places podcast, a very special guest and a very good friend. Thank you all for listening, and enjoy the next episode.